Chapter 1. The Wedding I Was Never Meant to Attend. My mom said it like she was mentioning traffic. Caleb picked a date. I was at my kitchen sink in Denver, rinsing a mug that had gone cold. The morning outside was pale and still. I held the phone tighter, waiting for the part where she would naturally add something that included me. "That is great," I said. "When is it?" There was a small pause, not rude, just careful. "Early fall," she said. "We are still sorting a few things." My mother has always spoken as if life is a calendar she controls, sorting things, finalizing, keeping it tidy. She did not say wedding, as if the word itself might invite questions. She did not say, "You should come." She did not say, "We want you there." I tried again. "Where are they doing it?" "We will see," she said, and I could hear the smile that meant the subject was about to end. You know how these things are. I did know. In our family, decisions happened behind closed doors and then appeared in public already polished. When I was a kid, I used to think that meant we were organized. As an adult, I realized it also meant people could be erased without anyone admitting it. I waited for something practical, a weekend, a city, a suggestion that I book flights early. Instead, she told me she had to go because she had another call. She said she loved me, warm and automatic. Then the line went dead. I stood there staring at my phone as if I had missed a cue. Caleb is my younger brother, the one who always landed on his feet. When we were kids, he never had to ask twice. When he wanted something, my parents moved the world quietly and efficiently. He grew up into the kind of man who fit easily into rooms that had unspoken rules. He worked in finance now, in North Carolina, the same region we grew up in. He looked right in a suit. He talked like he had time even when he did not. People liked him quickly. I told myself I was being dramatic. Weddings are chaotic. Parents get distracted. Save the date cards get lost. People forget things, even important things. But the feeling did not leave. That night, I called him. "Hey," he said, sounding like he was walking somewhere. "What is up?" "Mom said you picked a date," I told him. "I wanted to hear it from you. I'm happy for you." "Thanks," he said. "Yeah, it's happening." "When is it?" I asked. "Early fall," he said. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice casual. "Where?" "We're still locking it in," he said. "It's going to be nice, though." Nice was not an answer. Nice was a curtain. "I can take time off whenever," I said. "Just tell me what weekend so I can plan." "Yeah, totally," he said. "We'll send everything out soon." Everything out soon. Those words should have reassured me. Instead, they sat in my chest like a weight. After we hung up, I opened my calendar anyway and stared at the coming months. Early fall could mean September, it could mean October, it could mean a weekend that was already booked with client travel. I typed a note to myself to follow up, then deleted it. I didn't want to be the kind of person who had to chase her own brother for an invitation. For a few days, I tried to forget about it. I went to work, I took calls, I corrected a presentation for a client who kept changing their mind. I laughed with a coworker in the hallway, but every time my phone buzzed, my stomach tightened. Then a message came from a number I did not recognize. "Hi, Lauren," it said. "This is Melissa from high school. I heard about Caleb and his wedding. So exciting. Are you coming in early for the shower or just the wedding?" I read it twice. Melissa was the kind of person who stayed close to home, who knew everyone's news before it was official. We had not spoken in years. She was not reaching out because she missed me. She was reaching out because she assumed I was already part of it. I typed back slowly. "What shower?" The reply came fast. "The bridal shower at your mom's club next month. Everyone is talking about it." Your mom's club. Not our family's club. Not the club. Your mom's club. Like she owned the place and the rest of us were just guests when she allowed it. I asked for the date. Melissa sent it along with a few cheerful lines about how beautiful everything would be. She added a heart at the end, like this was a fun secret we were sharing. I set the phone down and stared at the counter. A bridal shower next month. People were talking. Plans were moving. My name was floating in other people's mouths as if it belonged there, even if it didn't. I called my mother the next afternoon. "Oh, honey," she said, bright and smooth, "I was just about to call you." "About the shower," I said. There was a tiny hitch in her breath, quick enough for someone who didn't know her to miss it. "What shower?" she asked. The lie was clean, too clean. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady, "people are texting me about a shower at the club next month." She gave a soft laugh, the kind that made things sound silly. "Oh, you know how people gossip. Someone is probably thinking about doing something. Nothing is formal." Nothing is formal. It was the phrase she used when she wanted to hold reality at arm's length. "Okay," I said. "So what is the wedding date? I need to book flights." "We're still finalizing," she said. "Don't stress yourself out. We'll let you know." "We'll let you know." Not, "I'll tell you." Not, "Your brother will call you." "We'll let you know." Like I was waiting outside a door and my job was to stand there politely until someone decided I could come in. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and did something I hated. I searched my own family online like they were strangers. Caleb's name, his fiance's name, which I only half remembered because my mother had never said it more than once. I clicked through photos and comments and tagged posts. People I barely recognized were already excited. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years wrote that she couldn't wait for October. October. I scrolled until I found it. A photo of a card on someone's countertop, cream paper with gold lettering, the words "Save the date," the location Asheville, and an early October weekend printed clearly. My chest tightened so fast it felt like I had swallowed something sharp. I opened my laptop and looked up flights to North Carolina. I could afford it. Money wasn't the problem. Pride wasn't even the problem. The problem was the question I couldn't shake. Was I going to sit here and wait to be told whether I mattered? I booked a flight for the following weekend. Not to crash a wedding, not to make a scene, just to stand in the place I came from and ask one simple question face to face. When the confirmation email arrived, I stared at it for a long time, feeling the strange mix of dread and relief that comes when you stop pretending you don't know what's happening. Then I closed my laptop, turned off the kitchen light, and let the quiet settle in around me, knowing that the next time I heard my mother's voice, the polite part of the story might finally end. Chapter 2. No one raised their voice, but everything broke. The house looked exactly the same. White siding, clean windows, a wreath on a door that changed with the seasons but never with taste. When I pulled into the driveway outside Chapel Hill, I stayed in the car longer than I needed to, hands resting on the steering wheel, listening to the engine tick as it cooled. I noticed how steady my breathing was. No racing heart, no urge to cry, just a low, focused awareness, the kind I usually felt before walking into a difficult meeting at work. My mother opened the door before I knocked. "Lauren," she said, already smiling, "you should have told me you were coming." "I did," I said. "I texted yesterday." She waved her hand lightly, like I had mentioned a glitch in the weather app. "Oh, I must have missed it. Come in." The entryway smelled like lemon cleaner and something floral. Everything was arranged with intention. Shoes aligned, a bowl of shiny green apples on the console table. Lamps switched on even though it was daytime. Framed photographs sat on the walls like proof of a carefully curated life. Graduation taps, smiling couples, Caleb in a suit at some charity event, my parents beaming beside him. I noticed there were no recent photos of me, not that I expected them, but the absence still registered like a missing tooth. Caleb was already there, sitting in the armchair near the window. He stood up when he saw me. "Hey," he said. "Hey." We hugged. It lasted a second too short. His arms were stiff, his body angled away, like he was already bracing for something uncomfortable. I caught a whiff of his cologne, expensive and familiar, the scent of someone who never sweats through consequences. My father appeared from the kitchen holding a mug, his reading glasses still on. He nodded at me. "Long drive?" he said. "Not bad," I replied. My mother touched my elbow and guided me toward the living room, as if movement could prevent the real conversation from starting. "Sit down, honey. Do you want some coffee or tea? I can do iced tea. We have sparkling water." I shook my head. "I am fine." She sat across from me, folding her hands neatly in her lap. My father leaned against the counter, one shoulder pressed to the edge like he was prepared to step out at any moment. Caleb sat back down, eyes fixed on the rug, his knee bouncing once and then stopping when he noticed me watching. They all looked composed, respectable, calm. That calm was the first warning. We talked for 2 minutes about nothing. Traffic from the airport, construction on the highway, a neighbor's new fence. My mother laughed at the right moments. My father made short comments that sounded like punctuation. Caleb kept checking his phone, then setting it face down like he was trying to prove he was present. Finally, I let the silence stretch until it became impossible to ignore. "I wanted to talk about the wedding," I said. My mother nodded slowly. Of course, we assumed this might come up. Assumed, not planned for, not prepared to address with any honesty. "I saw the save the date online," I continued. "Asheville, early October." My father shifted his weight. Caleb swallowed. "Yes," my mother said. "It is a lovely place. The mountains are beautiful that time of year." "It is," I said. "I was wondering when you were planning to tell me." She smiled, the careful one. "Lauren, this is not personal." That sentence landed exactly where I expected it to. "Not personal," she repeated. "We're just trying to keep things simple, smaller, less complicated." "Complicated how?" I asked. She glanced at my father before answering. "You live so far away. Your work schedule is demanding. We did not want to put pressure on you." "Pressure to attend my brother's wedding?" I said, and my voice came out quieter than I intended. Caleb cleared his throat. "It is not like that." I looked directly at him. "Then what is it like?" He looked down again. "We're just keeping it small." Small, the word they used when they wanted control without accountability. I leaned forward slightly. "Am I invited?" The room went still in a way that felt deliberate. Even the air seemed to settle. My mother exhaled slowly. "We thought it might be better if you did not attend." "Better for who?" I asked. "For everyone," she said gently. "We want the day to be peaceful. There are dynamics, and we do not want unnecessary tension." "Unnecessary?" I repeated. "You mean me?" She did not correct me. "You tend to have strong opinions, Lauren," my father said, "and this day is not about you." I nodded once. It rarely is. My mother's smile flickered for just a second, then returned. "This is not an attack," she said quickly. "We love you. We just think this is best." "Best," I said, like I'm a scheduling conflict. Caleb's foot tapped against the floor. "I didn't know how to say it," he admitted. "I didn't want to deal with the tension." I looked at him for a long moment. There it was again, the same pattern we grew up with. Caleb wanted comfort, my parents wanted control, and I was expected to make myself smaller so their lives stayed smooth. And the easiest way to avoid tension was to pretend I didn't exist, I said. He finally looked up, his eyes glossy with discomfort, not grief. He opened his mouth, then closed it. My mother's voice turned firmer, like she was trying a different strategy. "Lauren, you are making this into something it doesn't have to be." I felt a small, almost tired laugh rise in my throat. I swallowed it. "No," I said. "You already made it into something. I'm just naming it." My father took a sip of his coffee, watching me over the rim. "Families have to make decisions," he said. "This wedding is bringing together two families. There are expectations. We are trying to protect Caleb." "Protect him from what?" I asked. "From my existence?" My mother's cheeks tightened. "From conflict," she said. "From complications. From anyone feeling uncomfortable." I nodded slowly. "Then say that. Don't pretend it's for my convenience." For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator and the faint click of a ceiling fan. "I am not here to fight," I said. "I am not here to make this harder." My mother visibly relaxed, as if she had been bracing for me to raise my voice. "I just wanted to know where I stand." She hesitated, then said it plainly. "You are family, Lauren, but not everyone needs to be involved in everything." Family, I thought, a word that seemed to stretch or shrink depending on convenience, a word that could be used as a label without any of the responsibility. "Okay," I said. One word, no argument, no explanation, no speech. I felt my own calm surprise me. I stood up. My legs were steady. "You're leaving already?" my mother asked. "Yes." Caleb stood too. He took a step toward me, like he wanted to fix something without actually touching the cause of it. He hugged me again, brief and awkward. "I'm sorry," he said, still not quite meeting my eyes. I nodded. "Me too." My mother followed me to the door, still trying to soften the edges. "We can do something together later, after everything settles. Just the four of us, a nice dinner." I paused with my hand on the doorknob. The offer sounded like a consolation prize handed out to keep the story tidy. "No," I said quietly. "I don't think that will be necessary." The door closed behind me without a sound. Outside, the air felt cooler. I stood on the front step for a moment, breathing it in. There was no dramatic wave of grief, just a clean, aching certainty, like a verdict I couldn't appeal. I walked to my car, started the engine, and pulled away without looking back. For the first time, I was not leaving because I had been excluded. I was leaving because I finally understood the rules, and I was done trying to earn a place in a room that had already decided where I belonged. Chapter 3. Leaving didn't hurt. Understanding did. I stayed on the highway until the neighborhood disappeared behind me and the familiar streets turned into long stretches of asphalt and trees. The sky was already dimming, that in-between hour where everything looks softer than it really is. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my shoulders ached like I had been holding tension for days without noticing. At a red light, my phone buzzed on the passenger seat. "Drive safe." It was from my mother. Just those two words, no question mark, no acknowledgement of what had happened an hour earlier, no apology, no explanation. I turned the phone face down and waited for the light to change. I checked into a hotel near the airport because I could not bring myself to sleep in my childhood bedroom, even though it was close. The lobby smelled like coffee and industrial carpet cleaner. The clerk smiled politely, handed me a key card, and asked if I needed anything else. I almost laughed at how simple that question felt compared to the ones I had been asking my family for years. In the room, I set my suitcase down without opening it. I went into the bathroom, washed my face, and brushed my teeth slowly, watching myself in the mirror like I was waiting for some dramatic reaction to appear. Tears, anger, collapse. Nothing came. What I felt instead was space. Empty, unfamiliar space, like a room that had been crowded my whole life had suddenly cleared out, leaving me alone with the sound of my own breathing. The next morning, I flew back to Denver. The plane was full of people already deep into their routines. Someone argued quietly with a flight attendant about overhead space. A man across the aisle read a report with color-coded charts. A woman next to me scrolled through photos and smiled to herself. Life went on with or without my family drama. When I got home, I dropped my suitcase by the door and stood in the middle of my living room, unsure what to do next. Normally, I would have called someone, a friend, my mother, Caleb, anyone to narrate the moment with me. Instead, I poured a glass of water and drank it slowly, letting the quiet stretch. My phone rang. Caleb's name lit up the screen. For a second, my chest tightened with something old and reflexive. Hope, maybe, or habit. I let it ring until it stopped. A message followed almost immediately. "Can we talk?" I stared at the words longer than I needed to. I could imagine his voice, careful, uncomfortable, asking me to make this easier for him. I could imagine myself agreeing, smoothing things over, explaining my feelings in a way that required nothing from him. I put the phone down and walked into the bedroom instead. That week at work felt heavier than usual, even though nothing on paper had changed. I work for a consulting firm that helps healthcare organizations manage financial restructuring and long-term strategy. It is demanding, precise work. You learn to think 5 steps ahead, to anticipate objections before they are voiced. I had always been good at it, partly because I had been doing a version of that thinking in my family since I was a teenager. Monday morning, I stood in a glass-walled conference room presenting to a client team that had already decided which parts of my analysis they were going to accept and which parts they were going to ignore. My colleague Dana sat beside me, tapping her pen softly against her notebook. After the meeting ended and the clients filed out, Dana stayed behind. "You were sharp today, sharper than usual." "I am always sharp," I said, trying to sound like myself. She smiled, then tilted her head slightly. "You are usually patient. Today you cut straight to the point." I hesitated, then shrugged. "I do not feel like cushioning things this week." Dana studied me for a moment. She is the kind of person who doesn't pry, but notices anyway. "Everything okay?" she asked. I almost said yes. Then I thought about the way my mother had folded her hands and told me it was not personal. "My brother is getting married," I said. Dana's face brightened. "That's exciting. When is it?" "In October," I said. "I'm not going." She blinked. "Not going as in you cannot, or not going as in you're choosing not to?" I heard my own voice before I fully decided what to say. "I'm choosing not to go." Dana didn't question it. She nodded once, slowly. "I'm sorry. That sounds complicated." It's the kind of complicated that looks polite from the outside. Later that afternoon, my director Mark called me into his office. He shut the door and leaned back in his chair, hands folded like he was about to deliver neutral news that he hoped would land gently. "The new client requested a different lead," he said. I waited. "It's not about performance," he added quickly. "You've been excellent. They just mentioned you can be a little direct for their culture." Direct. There it was again, the word that followed me like a shadow. "So they want someone easier," I said. Mark shifted uncomfortably. "More collaborative." I nodded. I had learned this language well. "Fine, put me on the back end." After I left his office, I sat at my desk and stared at my hands. Something clicked into place with an unpleasant clarity. In my family, I was too much. In my career, I was too much. Too direct, too opinionated, too unwilling to disappear quietly. And yet, when something went wrong, when a mess needed cleaning up, when competence was required, I was always the first call. Valued when useful, problematic when present. That night, I ordered takeout and ate it standing at my counter. The silence in my apartment didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt open, like space I had known I was allowed to take up. On Wednesday, I booked a short trip to Chicago for a client workshop. It wasn't a getaway or a reset. It was work, but it was also distance with purpose, a place where no one could show up at my door or ask me to smooth things over. In the hotel lobby, my phone buzzed again. "Hope you got home okay." My mother. Same tone, same distance. I didn't respond. Later that evening, while I was reviewing slides in my room, an unfamiliar number flashed on the screen. I answered without thinking. "Lauren," a woman said cautiously. "It's Melissa from high school." My shoulders tensed. "I hope it's okay that I called," she continued. "I heard something and didn't know if you knew." "Knew what?" I asked. She lowered her voice. "They might be pushing the wedding back," she said. I sat down on the edge of the bed. "Why?" I asked. "I don't know everything," she said, "but people are talking about paperwork, lawyers, financial stuff. The bride's family is apparently being very careful." I pictured the save the date card again, the confidence of it, the assumption that everything would unfold neatly. "Thank you for telling me," I said. After we hung up, I waited for satisfaction, for relief, for the quiet pleasure of knowing something was unraveling without me. What I felt instead was calm. I didn't cause this. I didn't predict it. I wasn't even involved. For once, I wasn't the person rushing in to fix someone else's problem. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Caleb. Please, we need to talk. I picked up the phone, turned it over in my hands, then set it face down on the nightstand. Outside my window, Chicago traffic flowed steadily, headlights blurring into lines of light. Somewhere nearby, someone laughed. Somewhere else, someone argued. Life continued in 1,000 directions that had nothing to do with my family. I opened my laptop, pulled up the agenda for the next day, and highlighted the sections I was responsible for. Then I closed it again and lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in a long time, I did nothing at all. Chapter 4. I did nothing, and everything fell apart. The next morning, I woke before my alarm and lay still, listening to the city move outside the hotel window. A delivery truck rumbled somewhere below. A siren passed and faded. The room smelled faintly of clean sheets and coffee drifting up from the lobby. I reached for my phone out of habit, then stopped for a moment with my hand hovering over it. I already knew what I would find. More messages that sounded like demands wrapped in panic, more pressure to step back into the role I had finally dropped. When I looked, there were 3 texts from Caleb and a missed call from my mother. My stomach tightened, not from fear, but from the familiar pattern of urgency. Caleb, please answer. Caleb, I need you. Caleb, it is bad. I set the phone down and got dressed for the workshop. For a few hours, I was just Lauren, the consultant again. I sat in a conference room with fluorescent lights and polite smiles, asked questions, took notes, guided a conversation toward decisions no one wanted to make. I smiled at the right times. I kept my voice steady. I did what I had always done. I made things functional. It was later that night, back in my room with my shoes kicked off and my laptop closed, that the story I had walked away from started collapsing loudly enough to reach me. My phone rang from an unknown number. I almost let it go, but something told me to answer. Lauren. Melissa's voice sounded tense, like she had called and hung up twice before this. Hey, I said, what is going on? It is not just talk anymore, she said. They postponed it. People are getting calls. I sat on the edge of the bed. Postponed the wedding? Yes, she said. No new date, just postponed. Postponed is a word people use when they want to pretend control still exists. Do you know why? I asked. She hesitated, then spoke faster, like once she started, she needed to finish. Everyone is saying it is money, not wedding budget money, something serious. The bride's dad hired an attorney in Charlotte, and there's talk about an accountant, like a forensic accountant. People are saying there are debts. Debts, I repeated. Yes, she said, and it's Caleb. It's about his finances. I don't know numbers, but it's enough that her family is upset, like really upset. A familiar instinct rose in me, sharp and automatic, the urge to gather facts, to ask for documents, to sketch a plan. I felt it in my chest like a muscle memory. I let it pass. Thank you for telling me, I said. I just thought you should know, Melissa replied, softer now. Your mom is acting like everything is fine, like nobody should talk about it, but people talk anyway. We hung up. I sat there with my hands resting on my knees, staring at the carpet pattern. Debt, lawyers, forensic accountants. That was not a small bump. That was the kind of crack that spread through a foundation. My phone lit up again. Caleb calling. I did not answer. A voicemail followed almost immediately. I listened with the phone held loosely, as if distance could protect me from the sound of him. Lauren. Please, he said, voice strained. I know you're mad. I get it. But I need you. I just need you to tell me what to do. Please call me back. Tell me what to do. That phrase landed hard because it was so familiar. Caleb wanted the fix without the discomfort, the solution without the accountability. I set the phone down and stared at the wall until the urge to respond dulled. The next morning, my mother called again. This time I answered, not because I wanted to comfort her, but because I wanted to hear how she would frame it. I wanted to know what she would pretend. "Lauren," she said, bright and controlled. "Hi. I was worried. Are you traveling again?" "I am fine," I said. "Good," she replied quickly. "Good. Listen, your brother has a lot going on right now." I waited. She continued when I didn't help her. "There have been some misunderstandings," she said. "Some things are being handled. You know how these families can be. The bride's parents are very particular." "Particular about what?" I asked. She hesitated, then spoke faster, like once she started, she needed to finish. "Everyone is saying it is money, not wedding budget money, something serious. The bride's dad hired an attorney in Charlotte, and there's talk about an accountant, like a forensic accountant. People are saying there are debts." "Debts," I repeated. "Yes," she said, "and it's Caleb. It's about his finances. I don't know numbers, but it's enough that her family is upset, like really upset." A familiar instinct rose in me, sharp and automatic, the urge to gather facts, to ask for documents, to sketch a plan. I felt it in my chest like a muscle memory. I let it pass. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I just thought you should know," Melissa replied, softer now. "Your mom is acting like everything is fine, like nobody should talk about it, but people talk anyway." We hung up. I sat there with my hands resting on my knees, staring at the carpet pattern. Debt, lawyers, forensic accountants. That was not a small bump. That was the kind of crack that spread through a foundation. My phone lit up again. Caleb calling. I did not answer. A voicemail followed almost immediately. I listened with the phone held loosely, as if distance could protect me from the sound of him. "Lauren, please," he said, voice strained. "I know you're mad. I get it. But I need you. I just need you to tell me what to do. Please call me back." Tell me what to do. That phrase landed hard because it was so familiar. Caleb wanted the fix without the discomfort, the solution without the accountability. I set the phone down and stared at the wall until the urge to respond dulled. The next morning, my mother called again. This time I answered, not because I wanted to comfort her, but because I wanted to hear how she would frame it. I wanted to know what she would pretend. "Lauren," she said, bright and controlled. "Hi. I was worried. Are you traveling again?" "I am fine," I said. "Good," she replied quickly. "Good. Listen, your brother has a lot going on right now." I waited. She continued when I didn't help her. "There have been some misunderstandings," she said. "Some things are being handled. You know how these families can be. The bride's parents are very particular." "Particular about what?" I asked. She hesitated, then spoke faster, like once she started, she needed to finish. "Everyone is saying it is money, not wedding budget money, something serious. The bride's dad hired an attorney in Charlotte, and there's talk about an accountant, like a forensic accountant. People are saying there are debts." "Debts," I repeated. "Yes," she said, "and it's Caleb. It's about his finances. I don't know numbers, but it's enough that her family is upset, like really upset." A familiar instinct rose in me, sharp and automatic, the urge to gather facts, to ask for documents, to sketch a plan. I felt it in my chest like a muscle memory. I let it pass. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I just thought you should know," Melissa replied, softer now. "Your mom is acting like everything is fine, like nobody should talk about it, but people talk anyway." We hung up. I sat there with my hands resting on my knees, staring at the carpet pattern. Debt, lawyers, forensic accountants. That was not a small bump. That was the kind of crack that spread through a foundation. My phone lit up again. Caleb calling. I did not answer. A voicemail followed almost immediately. I listened with the phone held loosely, as if distance could protect me from the sound of him. "Lauren, please," he said, voice strained. "I know you're mad. I get it. But I need you. I just need you to tell me what to do. Please call me back." Tell me what to do. That phrase landed hard because it was so familiar. Caleb wanted the fix without the discomfort, the solution without the accountability. I set the phone down and stared at the wall until the urge to respond dulled. The next morning, my mother called again. This time I answered, not because I wanted to comfort her, but because I wanted to hear how she would frame it. I wanted to know what she would pretend. "Lauren," she said, bright and controlled. "Hi. I was worried. Are you traveling again?" "I am fine," I said. "Good," she replied quickly. "Good. Listen, your brother has a lot going on right now." I waited. She continued when I didn't help her. "There have been some misunderstandings," she said. "Some things are being handled. You know how these families can be. The bride's parents are very particular." "Particular about what?" I asked. She hesitated, then spoke faster, like once she started, she needed to finish. "Everyone is saying it is money, not wedding budget money, something serious. The bride's dad hired an attorney in Charlotte, and there's talk about an accountant, like a forensic accountant. People are saying there are debts." "Debts," I repeated. "Yes," she said, "and it's Caleb. It's about his finances. I don't know numbers, but it's enough that her family is upset, like really upset." A familiar instinct rose in me, sharp and automatic. The urge to gather facts, to ask for documents, to sketch a plan. I felt it in my chest like a muscle memory. I let it pass. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I just thought you should know," Melissa replied, softer now. "Your mom is acting like everything is fine, like nobody should talk about it, but people talk anyway." We hung up. I sat there with my hands resting on my knees, staring at the carpet pattern. Debt, lawyers, forensic accountants. That was not a small bump. That was the kind of crack that spread through a foundation. My phone lit up again. Caleb calling. I did not answer. A voicemail followed almost immediately. I listened with the phone held loosely, as if distance could protect me from the sound of him. "Lauren, please," he said, voice strained. "I know you are mad, I get it, but I need you. I just need you to tell me what to do. Please call me back." Tell me what to do. That phrase landed hard because it was so familiar. Caleb wanted the fix without the discomfort, the solution without the accountability. I set the phone down and stared at the wall until the urge to respond dulled. The next morning, my mother called again. This time I answered not because I wanted to comfort her, but because I wanted to hear how she would frame it. I wanted to know what she would pretend. "Lauren," she said, bright and controlled. "Hi. I was worried. Are you traveling again?" "I am fine," I said. "Good," she replied quickly. "Good. Listen, your brother has a lot going on right now." I waited. She continued when I did not help her. "There have been some misunderstandings," she said. "Some things are being handled. You know how these families can be. The bride's parents are very particular." "Particular about what?" I asked. She made a small sound like she was choosing words. "About paperwork, about agreements. It is all very normal for people with assets." Assets. That word always showed up when love ran out. "What is happening?" I asked again. She exhaled, careful. "Caleb made some mistakes. Nothing that cannot be managed. We just need to get ahead of it before it becomes public." Public. That was the real emergency. "Mistakes like what?" I asked. Her tone softened as if warmth could smooth the edges. "Honey, this is not the time for questions," she said. "This is the time for family to support each other." Support. Another word that always meant I was supposed to give something. "I am not the right person for this," I said. "You are," she insisted, and urgency slipped through the polish. "You do this for a living. You understand financial structures. Caleb needs a strategy." So that was it. Not "I am sorry," not "we were wrong," not "I hurt you." You do this for a living. I kept my voice even. Has Caleb asked you to call me? He's overwhelmed, she said. He's embarrassed. He does not know what to say. I thought about him staring at the rug while our parents decided my absence would make the day smoother. He knew what to say then, I said. My mother's voice sharpened. Lauren, this is not about that. It is about that, I said quietly. She pushed forward anyway. They hired a firm to review everything, she said faster now. They're looking at his accounts, credit history, loans. They asked for disclosures. It's standard before a prenuptial agreement. Caleb did not want to make a big deal out of it, but now it is a big deal. What did they find? I asked. Silence. Then she said it. There's debt, more than we realized. How much? I asked. It doesn't matter, she snapped, then caught herself and softened. It's manageable, but it looks irresponsible, and her parents are threatening to cancel everything. Cancel everything. Not postpone, cancel. I felt my stomach tighten, not with sympathy, but with the weight of inevitability. My mother was not calling because she missed me. She was calling because the family image was cracking. And you want me to fix it, I said. We want you to help, she corrected quickly. We want you to advise. We want you to talk to Caleb. We want you to help us present this properly. Present it properly, like the problem was branding. I took a slow breath. I am not calling anyone. I am not contacting their family. I am not speaking to their attorneys. I am not doing anything. Her voice went thin. Why are you being like this? I almost laughed, but it came out as a quiet exhale. Because I am not part of the wedding. That was the plan. Keep it small, keep it simple. This is different, she said. No, I replied. This is the same. I am useful now, so you are calling. She said my name like it was a warning. Lauren? I stayed calm. I am hanging up now. Wait, she said, urgency breaking through. At least talk to your brother. He's falling apart. He said the bride's family is threatening legal action. He does not know what to do. Legal action. That meant this was not just gossip. This was contracts, disclosures, liability, the kind of mess that didn't disappear with a polite smile. I paused, not because she convinced me, but because I needed to choose what kind of person I was going to be next. I am not calling anyone. I am not giving advice. I am not stepping in. Then I ended the call. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight. I stared at my phone until it buzzed again with a text from Caleb. Caleb, please, just one conversation. Dad is furious. Her family is talking to lawyers. I need you. I set the phone down face up this time and watched it like you watch a storm line on the horizon. I did not respond. Not yet. I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights, letting the distance do what it was finally meant to do. For the first time, I could see the collapse clearly, and I could see my own hands empty, not reaching, not fixing, not saving anyone. I stood there a long time, choosing reflection over reaction, letting the silence hold. Chapter 5. The Quiet No That Changed Everything. When I finally stepped away from the window, the city lights were still blinking outside like nothing had changed. My phone lay face up on the nightstand, glowing softly with Caleb's last message and the familiar weight of expectation. I did not answer that night. Sleep came in pieces. I woke, drifted off, woke again. Each time I opened my eyes, I waited for the surge of panic I had lived with most of my life, the instinct to fix things before they broke beyond repair. It never arrived. What stayed with me instead was a steady thought, quiet but firm. If I say yes now, nothing actually changes. They would learn the same lesson they had always learned, that if they waited long enough, if they sounded desperate enough, I would step back in and make the mess disappear. The exclusion would fade. the hurt would be swallowed, the pattern would reset. By morning, the thought felt settled, like a decision that had already been made somewhere deeper than logic. I showered, got dressed, answered a few emails, and went downstairs to grab coffee before my first meeting. The lobby was busy with travelers rolling suitcases and talking into phones. No one knew what was unraveling in my family. No one cared. The world did not pause for private chaos, and for the first time, I found that comforting. When I checked my phone again, there were 2 missed calls from Caleb and 1 from my mother. There was also a voicemail from my father, which surprised me. My father rarely called unless something had already gone wrong. I listened. "Lauren," he said, his voice flat and controlled. "We need to talk. Call your mother." No greeting, no question about how I was doing, just an instruction delivered the way he had always delivered them. I set the phone down and sat on the edge of the bed, my hands resting on my knees, breathing slowly. A few minutes later, Caleb called again. This time, I answered. "Hey," I said. "Lauren, thank God," he exhaled. "I thought you were going to ignore me forever." I did not respond right away. "Listen," he rushed on, his words tumbling over each other. "It is a disaster. Her dad hired some firm to dig into everything. They found things I forgot about, old loans, stuff I thought was settled. They're talking to lawyers. They're threatening to cancel everything. Mom is losing it. Dad is furious. I need you." "Need me?" I repeated quietly. "You know what to do," he said. "You deal with this kind of thing all the time. You know how to talk to people like this. You can help me figure out the best move." I closed my eyes. I could see him so clearly. The way he had sat in that chair at our parents' house, eyes on the rug while they explained why my presence would complicate his wedding. The way he had hugged me at the door, quick and awkward, apologizing without actually changing anything. "Caleb," I said, "I cannot do this for you." There was a sharp pause. "What do you mean you cannot?" he said. "You can. You just do not want to." I kept my voice even. "I am not stepping in. I am not calling anyone. I am not advising you. I am not talking to their attorneys. I am not fixing this." His breathing turned uneven. "Are you doing this to punish me?" "No," I said. "I'm doing this to protect myself." He let out a bitter laugh. "Protect yourself from what? From your own family?" "Yes," I said. His voice dropped, slower now. "I did not handle it well, I know that. But this is bigger than that. This could ruin everything." "Everything?" I repeated. "My life," he said. "My career, my relationship. They're talking about legal consequences. I don't even understand half the paperwork I signed." That was the first time I heard real fear in his voice. Not discomfort, not irritation, fear. "I'm sorry you're scared," I said. "I'm still not your consultant. I am not your attorney. I'm your sister, and you decided I did not belong at your wedding." "That's not what I decided," he snapped. "It is what happened," I replied. Silence stretched between us. Then he said, quietly, "I didn't know what to do." "You knew what was easiest," I said. "You knew what kept you comfortable." "So you're really going to let me drown?" he said. I felt the familiar pull to soften it, to reassure him, to offer something that sounded like help without crossing the line. Instead, I stayed still. "I'm going to let you handle your own consequences," I said. "Call a lawyer, tell the truth, take responsibility." "You're unbelievable," he said, his voice sharp again. "No," I said. "I'm just done." I ended the call before I could second-guess myself. Almost immediately, my mother called. I let it ring twice, then answered. "Lauren, thank God," she relieved. "Thank you for picking up. We need to talk." "I already spoke to Caleb," I said. "Good," she replied quickly. "Then you understand how serious this is. We need your help to navigate it before it becomes humiliating." "Before it becomes humiliating?" I repeated. "You know what I mean," she snapped, then softened. You're good at this. You know how to frame things. You know how to protect the family. I looked at my reflection in the dark window, a woman in her early 40s, tired but steady, no longer willing to be rearranged for someone else's comfort. I am not protecting anything, I said. Lauren, she said, slipping into that familiar tone, the one meant to pull me back into place. You're being emotional. No, I replied, I'm being clear. She inhaled sharply. So this is it? You're abandoning us? You already abandoned me, I said. You just did it politely. She went silent. I'm not doing this, I continued. I am not calling, I am not giving advice, I am not stepping into a situation I was told I was not part of. Her voice turned cold. Fine, if you won't help, don't expect us to forget this. I felt something loosen inside me, something I had carried for decades. You don't have to forget, I said. You can remember it exactly as it is. I said no. Then I ended the call before I could second-guess myself. Almost immediately, my mother called again. I let it ring twice, then answered. Lauren, thank God, she relieved. Thank you for picking up. We need to talk. I already spoke to Caleb, I said. Good, she replied quickly. Then you understand how serious this is. We need your help to navigate it before it becomes humiliating. Before it becomes humiliating? I repeated. You know what I mean, she snapped, then softened. You're good at this. You know how to frame things. You know how to protect the family. I looked at my reflection in the dark window, a woman in her early 40s, tired but steady, no longer willing to be rearranged for someone else's comfort. I am not protecting anything, I said. Lauren, she said, slipping into that familiar tone, the one meant to pull me back into place. You're being emotional. No, I replied, I'm being clear. She inhaled sharply. So this is it? You're abandoning us? You already abandoned me, I said. You just did it politely. She went silent. I'm not doing this, I continued. I am not calling, I am not giving advice, I am not stepping into a situation I was told I was not part of. Her voice turned cold. Fine, if you won't help, don't expect us to forget this. I felt something loosen inside me, something I had carried for decades. You don't have to forget, I said. You can remember it exactly as it is. I said no. Then I ended the call before I could second-guess myself. Almost immediately, my mother called again. I let it ring twice, then answered. Lauren, thank God, she relieved. Thank you for picking up. We need to talk. I already spoke to Caleb, I said. Good, she replied quickly. Then you understand how serious this is. We need your help to navigate it before it becomes humiliating. Before it becomes humiliating? I repeated. You know what I mean, she snapped, then softened. You're good at this. You know how to frame things. You know how to protect the family. I looked at my reflection in the dark window, a woman in her early 40s, tired but steady, no longer willing to be rearranged for someone else's comfort. I am not protecting anything, I said. Lauren, she said, slipping into that familiar tone, the one meant to pull me back into place. You're being emotional. No, I replied. I'm being clear. She inhaled sharply. So this is it? You're abandoning us? You already abandoned me, I said. You just did it politely. She went silent. I'm not doing this, I continued. I am not calling, I am not giving advice, I am not stepping into a situation I was told I was not part of. Her voice turned cold. Fine, if you won't help, don't expect us to forget this. I felt something loosen inside me, something I had carried for decades. You don't have to forget, I said. You can remember it exactly as it is. I said no. Then I ended the call before I could second-guess myself. Almost immediately, my mother called again. I let it ring twice, then answered. Lauren, thank God, she relieved. Thank you for picking up. We need to talk. I already spoke to Caleb, I said. Good, she replied quickly. Then you understand how serious this is. We need your help to navigate it before it becomes humiliating. Before it becomes humiliating? I repeated. You know what I mean, she snapped, then softened. You're good at this. You know how to frame things. You know how to protect the family. I looked at my reflection in the dark window. A woman in her early 40s, tired but steady, no longer willing to be rearranged for someone else's comfort. I am not protecting anything, I said. Lauren, she said, slipping into that familiar tone, the one meant to pull me back into place. You are being emotional. No, I replied. I am being clear. She inhaled sharply. So this is it. You are abandoning us. You already abandoned me, I said. You just did it politely. She went silent. I am not doing this, I continued. I am not making calls. I am not giving advice. I am not stepping into a situation I was told I was not part of. Her voice turned cold. Fine. If you will not help, do not expect us to forget this. I felt something loosen inside me, something I had carried for decades. You do not have to forget, I said. You can remember it exactly as it is. I said no. Then I ended the call. The silence afterward was different from the silence before. It was not empty. It was clean. Over the next several days, messages came in waves. Caleb, my mother, once a short email from my father that said only, "We are disappointed." I did not respond. From what I heard through the quiet channels of small-town gossip, the wedding did not move forward. Deposits were lost, lawyers stayed involved, the relationship strained under the weight of reality. I did not ask questions. I did not need details. The spectacle was not the point. The real ending had already happened the moment I chose not to step back into the role they needed me to play. A week later, Dana caught me in the office kitchen while I was making coffee. You look lighter, she said. I smiled, surprised at how true it felt. I am. Did it work out? She asked gently. I thought about my mother's controlled voice, my brother's panic, my father's disappointment. I thought about my quiet apartment in Denver, the life I had built without asking for permission. It worked out, I said, just not the way they wanted. That night, I sat on my couch with a blanket over my legs, the city humming outside my window. My phone stayed silent. The silence did not feel like punishment. It felt like space. I used to think revenge meant making someone regret what they did. Now I understand something different. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to keep playing a role that hurts you. Sometimes karma is simply you stepping aside and letting people face the consequences of their own choices. If any part of this story felt familiar, if you have ever been the responsible one, the fixer, the person who is only welcome when you're useful, I want to ask you something. Where in your life do you need a boundary you have been too polite to draw? If you feel comfortable, share your thoughts below. And if you want to hear more stories about choosing yourself without cruelty, stay with me here.